Well, welcome to the show. Are you excited to be here? I
I
hope you're
am.
just ready to go.
Yeah, a little nervous. I actually haven't done a whole lot of podcasts. You guys are maybe like my fifth or sixth, so
Well, welcome, and it's good to meet you. By the way, I mean, I know we kind of chit chatted a little bit behind, backstage, but it's cool to have you join. And I think it's, from that, I still remember the first time you came into the Macros Inc. group. It was must have been on a year and a half ago,
yeah,
maybe even longer. And you were like, I don't really know what you guys are or who you are, but these people in my group keep talking about Macros Inc. So I need to see if you guys are legit. And now here we are today. We're actually, having a chat with you. So I mean, that was my first, I think one of my first, memories of you and just kind of how you discovered Macros Inc. So,
yeah.
but anyways, welcome to the community, man.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of overlay between like my following and your following, so yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
I feel like
Yeah.
you know how they give like honorary degrees at colleges. I feel like Zach should just be an honorary Macros Inc. member just because of how much overlap there is and how
Yeah,
many of
a
our
few of the
yeah
moderators from Macros Inc. They come over. I don't like to put burdens on anybody and ask them to, double moderate or anything. So I'll make them like a group expert or something like that if they chime in and answer questions and stuff like that. So
yeah.
yeah, you guys are legit. I like your stuff.
Well, so now I'm curious. So once you got in the group and people were advocating for us or answering, like, I guess for you, how long did it take for you to realize, okay, these guys aren't, they're not pushing a product, they're not scammers, they give, it like, do you feel like that kind of happened quickly?
All I did was go in your group and look up search for seed oils and see where you stood on that, and that
That's a great litmus test. Oh
no,
god, that's
I
funny.
mean, that's a good vetting process. But no, I read through some of like the responses from like the moderators and coaches and stuff like that. And I mean, I feel like in this business, once you've been in it for so long, you can kind of
Yeah.
spot the red flags from
Yeah.
pretty far, as well as the green flags. So yeah, it didn't take long.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's been interesting, just kind of watching, the work that you've done and just the interactions you and I have had is because I've been doing this for so long, and just like the personalities of like how people kind of handle their own communities and stuff. And one of the things I've always loved about the interactions I've had with you is it's always been like very much abundance. The pie is so big, like nobody needs to worry about stuff, and like just that approach has been so great to see. Like I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's ever had any issues there. I mean, I would love to just hear a little bit more about kind of how you ended up doing what you're doing today,
For sure.
and just kind of like it sounds to me like you've navigated quite a few things in your own life, and just obviously you're crushing it now, and just kind of wanted to hear a little bit more about how you got to where you are now.
So it's kind of a cliche path, I guess you can say. I battled with some health issues in my personal life. I was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 25. Battled that for about 2 years, and I was in the military scene for a while. I was active duty, and then I was a civilian contractor for about 5, 6 years. And I needed a change, and I knew I kind of wanted to do something in the health realm. And I've always liked cooking, so I originally was going to go to culinary school and kind of try to merge the two worlds, like nutrition, fitness, with cooking, and try to see what I could do there. And then I just kind of went the path of dietitian instead. So it just kind of worked out that way. My own circumstances and health kind of led me down that path, which I feel like a lot of people kind of do that too, especially in the fitness field. They find the gym or nutrition through, something that happened in their own life, whether it's trauma or health issues, and then they kind of just, go down that path and end up, finding a passion for it. So,
Where'd you start? Like when you, because obviously, you've got recipes and you do these videos for people. And like, I'm curious to like, where and when did that particular part start? Like, was it really just one day you're like, you know what, I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna start making videos. I'm gonna start doing recipes. And I'm gonna share these with people. And then how'd you grow that part of it?
yeah, so when I graduated, I realized that I really didn't want to do anything in the actual dietetics world as far like, so you basically have a few options when you graduate from dietetic school. You can either do sports nutrition, which was my interest, but it's really hard to get into. It's very niche. It's a very small percentage of dietitians actually land in the sports field. So there's sports, there's clinical, which I liked, but it was a little triggering for me given my own past. I did a internship rotation at Moffitt Cancer Center here in Florida, and it was like really triggering for me. A very emotional time, so I knew I didn't want to do that. So I decided to try my hand at coaching. So I was like posting infographics on Instagram and stuff like that, and just really didn't take off. And then during COVID, I saw a bunch of people were getting onto TikTok, so I tried my hand at that, and I posted a recipe one day, and it blew up, and just it kind of snowballed from there.
Real quick, just a quick side note. Somebody did mention in the chat that says I have my full volume on, but having a hard time hearing you. I can hear you, but I can hear you fine now. If anybody else is having issues, let us know. But I think I heard it a little bit at the beginning, but I can hear you now. But if anyone's still having issues, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got and so like I guess in totality, how many years is this for you now, having done this?
I think I started really posting a lot on social media in, I want to say it was late 2021, something like that.
So it was okay. I had the impression that you were doing it for longer, so it actually hasn't been super long. I mean, the last four or
Yeah,
5 years, essentially, right? So it really
yeah,
took off pretty quickly, it seems like.
yeah. I did coaching for a couple years, like one-on-one coaching. I would take a handful of clients. It was just me and my wife, and it was fun. I loved it. I miss coaching, but coaching, as you guys know, it's very like time consuming, and I barely have enough time to do anything in my life now. Being a social media creator and stuff, it's just I would love to get back to it, but once I started posting on social media, engaging, answering DMs, comments, creating new content, I didn't have time for coaching anymore. So kind of migrated from coaching into full-time content creator. So
Where do you kind of source getting new recipes every week, month? I mean, that's got to be a big, like, are you just always in the back of your mind, like, God, what if I can't come up with something next week? Like,
oh
where do you
yeah, yeah.
go to find it?
I'm my own worst enemy. I get writer's block sometimes, but I kind of source it from a lot of different places. If I see like a viral recipe, I'll try to make it macro friendly. I am always taking pictures of like restaurant menus. If I'm at a restaurant, I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, that'd be a good meal prep, good meal prep. So I've got all these pictures of like every restaurant I've ever been to. I get ideas off like Pinterest. A lot of it's just tweaking normal recipes and making them, higher protein, within. I kind of wrote myself into a corner with being a dietitian. I always make my recipes to fall under the American Diabetes Association's carbohydrate guidelines. So I always have to kind of tweak that a little bit and make sure that none of them are over 60 grams of carbs per meal. But yeah, I get ideas from all over my community on Facebook. People ask me in the comments, "Oh, can you make this, macro friendly?" And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there's things I won't touch. Like I get requests for a macro friendly chocolate chip cookie all the time, and I'm like,
Don't
I'm
mess
not
up
trying to
good
make a
bagel.
chocolate chip cookie
Yeah,
macro friendly.
we
What's
have kind of gotten away with that.
Yeah.
what percentage of your recipes do you make, and you're just like, oh my God, this is so bad, I can't do this. I can't put this out there.
Luckily, there's only been a handful. I had a few that were like, oh, this just did not work out. I tried to do what was it? A few months ago, I tried to do a guacamole pasta. So what I did was I blended up avocados with, a little bit of liquid, some seasonings and stuff like that, and it just looked like a brown, terrible, and I was like, the
Because it just
taste
like
isn't bad, but I
oxidized with all the
cannot
air in the
post this.
blender.
This just looks.
Uh,
What
So,
is your most like? What's the most popular recipe that you have?
it kind of goes through phases. Right now, I would say it's one of my Patreon recipes. It's a McGriddle casserole. So it's
Okay.
like sausage and eggs underneath, and then it's like a maple flavored pancake on top. Yeah, it's pretty good. A lot of people have been doing it for like work potlucks and stuff like that. But it's definitely the current most favorite.
So if you're hungry and it's lunchtime, it's dinner time or whatever, do you eat like do you cook the way you cook for your recipes, or do you like for yourself personally cook differently, or is it no, like this is really how I cook?
Yeah, so because I have to make so many recipes, I mean, it works for me too in my personal life because it keeps
Yeah,
me like, what I'm meal prepping for the videos is what I'm eating throughout the week.
gotcha.
You
Right.
know, I'm lucky enough to live close to, I don't have any family in Florida, but my wife does. And her sister, her nieces and nephews, her mom, they're all right down the street. So a lot of times if, we're going out of town or something, I have to get ahead on content. I'll have like, six meal preps of six portions each, and I'll, take them over to the house and feed the kids for, a few days.
Yeah.
Man, so we just need to move down the street from you, and then
Yeah,
we're
exactly. Yeah,
set.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could take it to like a food bank, but Florida, I don't know if it's other states too, but they're pretty
Yeah.
strict about giving, hot
Yeah,
food and
it's
stuff like
like,
that out.
and there's some states where like restaurants can't even give extra food to food banks. It's like the
Yeah.
food laws and safety handling and all that stuff. It's kind of
Yeah,
sad.
I get it, but at the same time, I don't. Like, they could
Yeah.
put things in place to, I don't know.
Yeah. So, kind of obviously, you're known for food and recipes and those things. Like outside of that, I mean, what are things that you are like passionate about outside of just like the cooking side? You talk about you kind of wanted to get into the health and wellness space. Like, what else about it really kind of drives you to do what you do?
Honestly, just helping people, and that's something I've kind of struggled with transitioning from coaching to full-time content creators. Like, we all want to feel appreciated in our life, whether it's, family, job, whatever. Like if you're working at a job and you feel like the boss never sees what you're doing and doesn't see what you're contributing to the company, kind of feel underappreciated. In coaching, you can see that progress on the scale. You hear those non-scale victories from your clients. You see the progress photos. You talk to them, regularly. So you feel like what you're doing is making a difference in somebody's life. And for me, going to content creator, I'm like just in the background. I don't see how my recipes are really affecting people
Yeah.
or helping them, or my content is helping somebody unless they come and tell me. So just the feeling of helping people is what drives me, and I get a lot of comments and DMs and stuff like that of just um, you know how my content has changed their outlook on food or help them on their journey or help them break the cycle of yo-yo dieting and honestly, as cliche as it sounds, that's honestly what keeps me doing what I do. I love the thought of my work helping somebody else.
That's actually so I couldn't agree more. We one of the things that we talk a lot about here, and like I just last week, I think it was me and Brad, just we were in a one-on-one together, and like one of the things that Brad that you said was, and I echo that, is um, the work we do is actually meaningful. And then when you think about, okay, well, what does meaningful mean? That means something different to everybody. But realistically, when you can, so whether it's your recipes or whether it's coaching someone one on one, helping them with their habits, when you take someone from, let's say, I don't know, I'm just throwing out numbers, 200 pounds, and you help them lose 50 pounds, what happens to that person is obviously there's the weight loss aspect, but so many of your health markers change. You add years to your life.
Yep.
The quality of your life, you know, gets better, and so like you are actually changing people's lives, and that's that part of making someone's life. That's what. So doing meaningful work,
Yeah.
to me, that's what that is, and we do that through coaching, and then you do that through your recipes if they help people on their journey. So it really is meaningful work. And when you think about what professions, how many professions truly change people's lives like that, I don't think there are too many.
Yeah.
And so I think it's cool to be able to say that the work that I'm doing has a meaningful impact on people's health span, their lifespan, their quality of life for themselves and their family. So it really is. It has it branches out and affects a lot of people in a lot of positive ways, which is super cool.
Yeah, for sure. Those are some of my favorite comments to read. It's like, the weight loss, obviously we know, if somebody's morbidly obese, the more weight they lose, their health markers, like you said, are going to change. But when they actually come in and say, hey, for the first time, my A1C is,
Yeah,
here, or, my blood lipids have improved for the first time I'm off of, my cholesterol meds or my high blood pressure meds. There's so many things that like as in this field we see and we're like, this is so much more than just a number on the scale. This is like adding years to your life.
For sure. And is this do you do this just this full time now, or do you have any other like side jobs, or is like no, this is what I do?
Yeah, this is what I do full time.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's yeah. I like hearing about people's where they started, how they built it up, how they got here. Um, do you think like when you're out in public, people recognize the beard and they're like, oh, that's Zach. I'm gonna say hi to him.
Yeah, it happens pretty often, which it was weird for me initially. I'm a huge introvert. I have social anxiety,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was a struggle at first, and now I'll sit there and converse with them for
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes, grab a picture with them, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool, but it's still. I don't know if it's imposter syndrome or what. I just feel like I'm still just Zach. I'm just a regular guy. So for somebody to seek me out in public and be like, oh man, I know you, I
Yeah.
follow you. It's still a little weird, but I love it. I love meeting my followers and my supporters.
Obviously, there's a lot of interaction in your group that you have, and I'm sure there is probably in the back end of like kind of your paid subscription stuff too. Like, what is the biggest struggle you see people have?
Um, I would probably say unlearning behaviors and beliefs that they have built, throughout their adult life. I mean, which I can't blame them. There was things that I had to unlearn when I went to school for dietetics. I believed a lot of the bro science or just things you hear and read online, and when you get to school and you actually start to learn to properly analyze research and follow the actual guidelines. You're like, man, I can't believe I believed this for so long. But for a lot of people, it's really hard to break those habits and those mindsets of oh, carbs are bad, like oh, seed oils, food dyes. There's a lot of things that people really struggle with, and they're these mental barriers that it's really hard to break through them. I would say it would probably be between that and learning moderation. I think that's a big one for a lot of people, especially if you struggle with binge eating or just your weight or overeating in general. Learning to have those foods in the house and telling yourself, hey, I don't have to eat it all right now. There's always tomorrow. There's the next day. So just unlearning those behaviors that have gotten them to where they are right now, where they actually need the help.
I think a lot of people don't really understand like what goes into dietetics in terms of like the education process. What was probably, I mean, outside of you kind of spoke to analyzing research, like what was, do you think, the most eye-opening part of just that training?
Um, Going back to the research, I would say it's the research. I mean, I honestly believe that we learn a lot in dietetic school. Like I said, there's different branches, so they kind of have to cram a lot of it. There's food service. There's dietitians that go on and join restaurants and companies to help them build out their menus, and that's all they do is just help them build the menus and figure out the
Yeah.
nutrition aspects and stuff like that. But there's a lot that gets crammed into it. But I honestly believe that even if you don't go to school for dietetics, as long as you know how to properly analyze research and know where to go to find the research, I mean, anybody could do what I do. You just have
Yeah.
to know how to analyze that research because the information is out there. You just need to know how to navigate it.
Yeah, I think, to that point, I mean, one of the more frustrating parts of my career has been there's just such a big gap between like what the actual evidence shows and then what ends up in the internet, and just how big of a gap there is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I
It's
mean, the media doesn't help. They put the scariest part in the headline, and then
yeah.
you'll literally go in because it's clickbait. It gets us, it baits us in to click it and see what it says, and then it'll have some scary headline, and then you go all the way down to the bottom and says, but the doctors and researchers said that this is not it's correlation, not causation. I'm like, you could have just said that in the headline, and but that doesn't get anybody to click it and read it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
curious where. Go ahead, Brad,
Oh,
if
nope,
you had
you're
more to add.
good.
So one of the things that I'm, I guess, curious about a lot of people that I meet is obviously this is who they are now, but like your background, like growing up, like when you were like kind of understanding how you became, how you came to be the person that you are now, like, you know, the way we go through life and the people we meet and how we're raised, that influences a lot of things. So, like, what was, tell me a little bit about where where you grew up. What was your upbringing like, and like kind of how that shaped who you are today. I mean, just tell me about that part of you.
So I grew up in Virginia. I actually started in like lifting weights and fitness at a pretty young age. I played sports all my life. I tried my hand at baseball, sucked at it. Tried my hand at soccer, sucked at it. I played football up until I was about 17. Tried wrestling a little bit. So I've always been, physically active. I always had a passion for sports. And then I joined the military at a very young age. I signed up when I was 17 and I left at 18. I was gone. And obviously,
What
fitness
branch?
is Air Force.
Okay.
Yeah, I almost joined the Marines, and my stepdad, he was Air Force, and he talked me out of joining the Marines. He's like, I work with Marines. You don't want to join the Marines.
You're
So I
like,
actually
he's
went
like, the
back as a
food's better, the
contractor
housing's
and
better.
worked with the Marines for 5 years, and all it did was make me realize I made the right choice joining joining the Air Force.
What
So
what what
Shout
was
out to
your
all
role?
my double dogs out there.
What was your role in the Air Force? What'd you do there?
I was combat communications.
Okay.
So I still got to see some action. It was kind of cool. I kind of landed in a combat field, which is a very small percentage of the Air Force. We're usually sitting behind a desk and not doing anything. But when the war kicked off after September 11th and all that, the war kicked off. I deployed to Iraq for the first time during the invasion. So that was a pretty exciting time in my life.
Nice. Well, thank you for
yeah,
your service.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
yeah, and the so how long were you? How long till you got out? How many years did you do?
I did 6 years active, and then right when I got out, a few months later, I went back to Iraq as a civilian contractor, and then I
Okay.
was there for about 10 months, and that's when I kind of feel some pain in my hip. I saw the doctor on base a few times, and they're like, "You're gonna have to go get an MRI somewhere." Went and got the MRI, and that's when they sent me for a biopsy and found out it was cancer. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, and you've been so I was going to ask you about that earlier though too. Cancer free ever since?
oh yeah, yes sir.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
yeah since
And what
2000. Geez, how long's it been? 2009, I think.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. So and then you mentioned that you live in Florida now, but you were from Virginia. What was the reason that you ended up in Florida?
So I came here with my ex-wife. We lived here for a few years, and it just I just kind of stuck around after.
It's just become your home, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a passion for the West Coast though. Me and my wife we did van life for a while, almost 2 years
Nice.
actually, and we spent some time over on the West Coast, and we fell in love with it. So one day that's our dream to move over there. So
Where'd you guys spend most of your time over here?
I spent a lot of time in Oregon.
Okay.
Oregon was nice. Colorado was beautiful. They have so many national parks and stuff over there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The thing I don't like about Florida is just so flat. Like this would
Yeah, it
probably
is.
be like my 50th choice out of 50 states to live in here. And I just bought a house here, so
I was
I'm
gonna
just
say,
waiting
like,
for
the work you
punishment.
do, you could, kind of do it from anywhere. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
But I would imagine having your like nieces and nephews right down the street is probably a big.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, me and my wife have been together for 11 years, and her family is my family, and my family from Virginia. They come down. They love Florida, so they like coming down to visit and stuff like that. So, I'm kind of stuck here for now, at least.
Do you kids? Or, I don't think I've asked
No
you.
kids. No.
No kids. Okay.
My wife and I, it's kind of something I shared with my followers. We tried IVF for a little over a
Oh,
year. Didn't go as planned. It was a very emotional time for us. So we kind
Yeah,
of,
right.
after all was said and done, we kind of put a pin in it, and we're kind of juggling and toying with the idea of just, just being us for the rest of our life, which is fine. We love each other's
Sure.
company, and that'll give me more time to, do what I do. It's hard to
Absolutely.
juggle, a job and kids. So shout out to all the parents that do it out there.
Yep.
My best friend, he is him and his wife. They don't want kids, which and he's known that for a long time, and so but because he'll always give me a hard time. Like he'll jokingly like he'll send me pictures of because they go on when you're it's just you guys, you're free as a bird, right? You can go out to dinner
Yeah,
all the time, you can go to friends' houses. So he'll like send me pictures of like, hey, I'm out at dinner on this Friday night, isn't this nice to be able to do this? Or like, hey, I'm actually hanging out with friends, like, isn't aren't you jealous? And I'm like, yeah. So like, because I have 4 kids, so I don't get a whole lot of free time, and my
yeah,
wife and I don't get to go out that much, just us. So, but yeah, there's certainly a lifestyle to being in your situation. You're definitely freer. So
yeah, for
I
sure.
do look at that sometimes. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm a little bit jealous that you get to go out right now
Yeah,
with
I
your
mean,
wife.
but it goes both ways.
Oh,
Me and my wife, we've had
100%.
multiple conversations about this. One day we might, I mean, multiple days we might look back and, wonder what it would have been like if we did have kids. But then if we did have
Yeah.
kids, we would look back and wonder what it would be like if we didn't have
If you
kids.
didn't,
You always
yeah.
wonder what it's like on the other side. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think us introverts, because I'm very much introverted as well. I don't, most people probably wouldn't know that, but like those are the kinds of thoughts that I have. I'm just like, when I'm alone at night, it's 9 o'clock and I'm just in my own head. I just think about that kind of stuff and like
yeah,
just being the weirdo that I am. But, yeah. So, but it is interesting that you mentioned being an introvert because I think you maybe picked, probably not the best profession to get into to as an introvert and be on have your face all over the internet,
yeah.
people recognizing you.
Yeah,
So
when I started, I just thought it would be a good way to, advertise myself as a coach and get clients.
yeah.
I never in a million years would have thought that I would be where I am today. Like it's been so surreal.
Do you think people would recognize you if you shaved the beard?
I don't think so. That's my plan. When I decide to disappear forever, I'll shave the beard and you know, just kind of just go somewhere nobody will recognize you.
At this point, it's staying for a while.
Oh
No
yeah,
plans to get rid of it. Okay.
no, no.
We are getting some comments, by the way. I should mention there's some people like, oh, Ashley had mentioned the McGriddle casserole. She said so good. Someone mentioned lasagna soup, which I've
Oh
seen
yeah,
lasagna soup, never had it. I bet that's amazing. And then someone said chicken pot pie with Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits. You have
yes.
a low calorie version of the Cheddar Bay biscuits.
No, I just use the box.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what she was. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
good,
so
good.
you can literally use the whole box and it's still divided up into 6 servings and it's still
Yeah.
under 500 calories.
You know what you need to do? You need to come up with your version, a lower calorie version of the Texas Roadhouse buns. Do you know? Have you guys ever
Oh
had those?
yeah.
Because
Yeah,
by the time
I
you get
mean,
your
I could
main course
probably
on,
do
you're already
Sunday.
full.
So one of the things I also focus on with my content is, people like you, 4 kids. Like the last thing you're probably thinking about is, you know what? Let me go make some rolls from scratch. Like when you can just buy a
Yeah,
bag of rolls. I always try
yeah,
to take,
yeah,
time and schedules into consideration. So I get a lot of heat
yeah.
from the food phobic crowd of like, oh my God, you're using processed foods, and why are you using stuff from a jar or from a can? I'm like, because not everybody can make everything from scratch at every meal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that's also just the context of food and those conversations are just so huge,
Yeah,
right?
for
Because like
sure.
we're all so busy. The modern environment is so crazy that making the like perfectly clean from scratch homemade sourdough roll that takes you 6 hours to do versus grabbing the one out of the bag, it's like maybe a 50 to 70 calorie a roll difference,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, okay, like what? 6 hours of my time on a Saturday to do this when I'm like, I got to run my kids to soccer, I have to clean the house, I have to do my taxes, or I can
Yeah.
just like pick up some rolls from the local bakery that are probably roughly the same. I think it's like just getting people to realize what actually moves the needle
Yeah.
in your own, you know, like personal nutrition journey is a huge piece of it.
Yeah, and I think one of my biggest pet peeves is the all or nothing mentality, and it goes like all or nothing encompasses pretty much everything across the board nowadays. Politics, religion, food, like everything. Just because I'm telling somebody that they can use bread from a bag doesn't mean that I'm telling
Yeah.
people not to make anything from scratch. Ideally, if you can make things from scratch, it's probably going to taste better. You can have more control over the ingredients, more control over the macros, the calories. But I'm just trying to teach people it's okay to use these things too. I remember the first time I used Doritos in a recipe. I posted on TikTok, and it was a Dorito chicken and rice
I was freaked
casserole.
out.
It was chicken and rice in a casserole dish, and then I think the total was 3 servings of Doritos crushed up on top, and then mind you, my recipes are divided into 6 servings, so that's 3 portions of Doritos divided. So you're eating a half a portion of Doritos, and people literally took, oh, I can't believe you're a dietitian telling people that to eat Doritos. I'm not telling people to eat only Doritos. I'm just
Yeah.
showing them a way to get that Dorito flavor into a high protein, low calorie meal.
You're touching on something hugely important, which is just context is everything, right? Like if you are only eating Doritos all day, every day, okay, that's probably not a good idea.
Right.
If you have a well balanced diet and you have some Doritos within that well balanced diet, it's not going to be a problem at all. It's like when people come into the flexible dieting world and you hear about IIFYM and they say, okay, well, if we are advocating now to say you can eat pretty much whatever you enjoy and still lose weight as long as you're within your macros. And then there are people that are like, oh, so you're saying I should eat nothing but junk? And I'm like, no, I didn't. But that's not. No, it's like
Right.
the same thing, right? No, I'm just saying you should still eat mostly whole foods because you want
Yeah.
to get a good a balanced diet. But the foods that you would call junk food, those are still okay to eat.
Yeah.
We're not. It's but so along those same lines, it's like no, I'm not. I'm not saying the extreme that you
Yeah.
mentioned. It's balance. It's context. Like I think that's one of the things that we really try to educate people on is hey, just start trying to think with with context in mind.
Yeah.
It's for example, there are no we don't as instead of saying there are good and bad foods, we our take is there are healthy and unhealthy habits to have.
Yeah.
And then your habits are what's going to determine whether that particular food is a good idea to have or a bad idea, right? So that's kind of more what we try to teach, and it's just but it's hard because there's, like you guys were saying earlier, there's a lot of information on the internet that suggests otherwise. It gets people thinking in these other ways that aren't, really conducive to their goals and conducive to the things that we teach.
Yeah, and I think changing the verbiage and that internal dialogue in your head when it comes to foods, instead of, somebody that might have before considered foods healthy and unhealthy or good and bad, framing it as anytime and sometimes foods, or,
Yeah.
instead of calling something a treat or, a cheat, you call it a fun food, and I think fun foods in moderation helps keep the process sustainable. If you, in my experience, and I'm sure you guys have seen it too, I mean, there's actually research on this too. When you limit something for so long, you are more likely to fall into that restricted binge cycle because you've
Yeah.
restricted so rigidly that you just eventually break and you feel like
Yeah.
you just have to go ham on it instead of learning to, I'm going to have a portion this day, I have it all planned out. Having a plan is very important too, but just changing that verbiage and that dialogue in your head, I think goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this just comes from, I think in the modern world, a lot of people just want to outsource everything, including their like critical thinking and decision making, because I think it's a lot easier if you just go, hey, this is good or bad, or hey, I'm just following this meal plan, or I'm following this diet framework, because you just get to outsource, one, all of the decision making. You're like, oh, I no longer have to think for myself. I can just follow this. And two, one of the trends I'm seeing is just like outsourcing all the agency, like just taking all of the personal, like I'm in control of this and just outsourcing it to other things. I mean, we see this with, obviously people are like, hey, I'm going to follow this diet. I don't have to make decisions. This isn't my fault. It's the diet's fault.
Yeah.
We see this with, just like the larger world in general of like, hey, I can't do this because the system is against me, just that type of thinking. And then also like as weight loss medications become more and more effective, like those are continuing to just drive people's like outsourcing all of these things to other things other than like, hey, I have to think about what does life in the gray look like? How do I make these decisions? What is the context of all these things? I think we're just continuing down this path of like just outsourcing decision making.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with decision fatigue. Like, like you mentioned earlier, we're so busy with everything in life, kids, work, taxes, family, like everything. The last thing we want to think about is what's for dinner or
Yeah.
how can I make this macro friendly? It's all those things. Decision fatigue is something that after a long day of work, you come home, you shower the kids, you help them with their homework, you put them to bed. The last thing you're wanting to think about is your diet.
Yeah.
If you have that meal plan that somebody else created for you, that all you have to do is look at it and say, okay, that's what I'm doing.
I know, it was like I saw a meme a while ago, and it was something like, the one thing nobody warned me about as an adult is I have to make the decision of what I'm eating for dinner every day until I die. And you're just like, God, that's so true. Now I understand why my mom got so mad when I didn't like defrost the chicken.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
like, oh, okay, Mom, I get it now. You get home, it's 6 o'clock. There's like nothing to make because the chicken's still frozen. It's like, okay, I get where the rage came from.
Yeah.
See, Brad, you're not at the wait till your little guy is old enough to where you guys make dinner and then you call him down for dinner. You're like, it's dinner time, and he comes up to the table and he's like, "What the hell is this? This looks like crap." And they're so ungrateful about the food you made, and you're just
I
like,
don't like
you know what? You
chicken.
can go eat whatever you want. Then you can find make your own stuff going forward.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, well, I guess you're just starving tonight, dude. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. Fun time.
He's
though.
now
So,
gotten to the stage where like if there's stuff on his high chair and he doesn't like it, he just pushes it on the floor. The dogs love it. They love this stage of his life. They're like, this is great. Yeah.
well, have you gotten to the point yet where he gets mad because you gave him the wrong colored plate? That's a fun one where you serve it on the wrong colored plate, and the plate gets thrown, and now you got to clean up all the food.
Not yet. I think he's rapidly.
You guys are really
approaching this.
solidifying my decision to not have kids. So you keep it coming. It makes me feel better.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the day where I like look at him and I'm like, oh, that's my behavior in you. Yeah, that's my fault. I'm just waiting for that to happen.
That does for sure happen. Some of the reactions, I'm like, wait a minute, is that me? You definitely do reflect a lot more as a parent. Question for you, Zach. So we talking about all these recipes. We're all about food. You're probably a foodie like myself, but like, what is like, if you, let's say, I think I've asked this to everybody that's been on, but if you had to just pick one food for the rest of your life that you can only eat this one food, what do you think that would be for you?
Nachos.
Like, what do you love so much?
Nachos.
Nachos?
I have a extremely weird and unhealthy obsession with nachos. I can go to a new restaurant that is known for everything under the sun, and if I see nachos on the menu, I'm ordering them.
Is
So
it
are
just
we
because
talking
of like you get all of the textures and flavors in one thing?
I think that's what it is. It's just a culmination of just goodness. But I'm very particular. A lot of places try to, fancy it up and do like, oh, barbecue chicken nachos. Like, no, I want ground beef. And a lot of people, I think, have kind of gone away from ground beef because now they're doing like steak or chicken. I'm like,
Shredded
I just
chicken,
want
yeah.
and I don't know if it's, learned behaviors. Going back to learned behaviors. Growing up, we used to do what's called welfare nachos. And it's literally
gonna ask
just,
you if you did that, yeah.
tortilla chips with shredded cheese, and you pop it in the microwave, and like literally that's it.
Dude,
It's
I was,
welfare.
I was gonna ask you if this came
And
from when you were a
I
kid.
came
just
from
doing
very humble beginnings, like when it was just my mom, me, my mom, my brother, and my sister. We lived out of a car for like 6 months. Like my mom, we did not come from money, and so a lot of times it was stretching foods to really make it work. And we found creative ways to back when I was growing up, it was called government cheese. We had a block of cheese, and it came with a string, and you would slice it. So we would sit there and slice up that cheese and throw it on top of the chips. And yeah, so those nachos, they always bring back memories. And fried bologna sandwiches, I still love a good fried bologna sandwich.
Are you gonna have a big event where all of your followers come out and you just have a nacho table where it's just a giant table of just nachos and everybody gets their nasty
So
fingers
we had a
there?
party like that one time. I think it was like a Halloween party. We put the aluminum foil. We saw it on TikTok actually. Put the aluminum foil down. Everybody brings a bag of nachos, Doritos, and then just kind of do all the toppings. Yeah, it was fun. Probably not the
everybody
most
got sick
sanitary, but
afterwards.
still fun.
How big would the plate of nachos have to be at a restaurant to where they bring it to your table and you're like, this is too much. This is unacceptable. Please take it back. How big of a portion are we talking about?
I experienced that once in my life actually in San Antonio, Texas. There's a restaurant. You know, they say everything's bigger in Texas,
Yeah.
and they have a plate. They're called Gorilla Nachos, and I swear, like this thing, the plate is probably two of these notebooks side by side, and the nachos come out like this. Now, granted, they're supposed to be shared with, you know, 4 to 6 people, but I was the only one eating nachos at the table, so yeah, I barely put a dent in those things.
That's awesome. So getting to, we got about what 15 minutes left here. I'm just like as I'm curious getting to know you a little bit more on the personal side of things, but like you're working out. Do you listen to music when you work out?
Yeah,
What kind of music do you listen to?
a little bit of everything.
Everything.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be Little Wayne, sometimes it'll be Disturbed. Um, there's weird times that no judgment around Christmas time. I'll listen to Christmas music while I'm working out. Like it's
Mariah
just
Carey.
yeah. But a lot of times I
Mariah
do.
Carey
I'll
song.
put on like those on YouTube. They have the like motivational like montages of like
Oh,
different
sure.
sayings from motivational speakers and clips from movies and stuff like that. Sometimes I put those on. That's what kind of drives me. So,
Are you a movie guy?
oh yeah, big movie buff.
I think one of the Brad is Brad's the guy here at Macros Inc. that has so many movie quotes up in his head that he just relates them to like things that are happening in real
But
life.
they're usually the
Um,
most obscure movies you've ever heard of in your life. They're just like
he'll say
random.
something, I'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. He'll be like, have you never seen this movie? I'm like, no, I don't even know what you're talking about.
That's me with
But
my wife because she never remembers anything, and I'll quote a movie, and she's like, "You remember like quotes from movies, but you can't remember what you had for breakfast." Like, I don't get how your brain works.
Or she's like, you can't remember the conversation I was having with you this morning. And you're like, I'm sorry, I was so
Yeah,
distracted.
exactly.
all right, give me your top three movies,
Oof. Gladiator is maybe.
or just three movies that you really love. Doesn't have to be in order. Like three
Gladiator. That's
solid.
like my go-to. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan and Lord of the Rings fan,
Okay.
so both of those. And I'll throw in a comedy, either Tommy Boy or The Big Lebowski.
I haven't
Tommy
seen that
Boy
one for a
is
long
so
time.
underrated.
Yeah, yeah,
It's really a shame that yeah, I when like Farley when he died, it's I always wonder like how much more awesome content would they have put out had they not died? Like
yeah,
he would have
yeah.
had some funny stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure he would have been in every Adam Sandler movie and just
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Him and oh, who was it that just died? Robert Duvall died recently too. I think just a couple
Yeah,
days
he
ago.
just
Like
passed away. James
he,
Vanderbeek just died from cancer. He was
yeah,
40, 48, something like that.
Man, yeah, that's the rise of like colorectal cancer amongst young adults is crazy.
is that what it was? I wasn't aware what type of
Yeah,
cancer it was. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah. And he,
eat your fiber.
yeah,
I was reading something too about how like he was like super in debt from the medical bills and was having trouble keeping up with that. And I guess they had a GoFundMe, which I think is at a couple million now. So that's super cool to see that he got. I think his family isn't going to be left with such a
yeah,
debt because of that. But yeah, that was super sad.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's what I believe. Don't quote me. Black Panther.
Yeah, Chad.
I think
Yeah.
that's what he died of
Yes.
too. Yeah. Yeah. So all you
Yeah.
fellas listening, don't be shy. Get your screenings.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's maybe
I
this
mean,
isn't the best time to talk about that. But like, what do we think that's from, Brad?
I
Just our
think it's
overall.
yeah, I think it's a couple things. I think one is if you look at there's very few things in the nutrition epidemiology literature that are like super clear, right?
Mhm.
Dietary fiber intake and risk of colorectal cancer is pretty clear, right? It's one of those things that's
Okay.
like it's just always there. Now there's part of it is just like, risk factors cluster, et cetera, but I think that's a big piece. And 95% of US adults do not hit dietary fiber recommendations.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like that's
Yeah, I'm
outrageous.
sure.
So I think that's a big part. I think the overall food quality we have in general is really low for most people. I think that's a big part of it. I think changes to the microbiome and the
I was just
modern
going to ask that
environment
too.
are a huge
Yeah.
part because one of the things that like keeps the lining of your gut healthy is your microbiome basically like chews on fiber and it creates all these short chain fatty acids. Those feed the cells that are lining the wall that keep them healthy. And so I think the changes in microbiome are a big part of it.
Hmm.
I also think like just environmental exposure is a part. So I think it's like all of those things combined
Yeah,
are just really driving the risk. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
We
as a
should.
dietitian, if there's one thing I wish I could make everybody do, it's eat more vegetables. Like that, making vegetables taste good and finding a way to incorporate them into at least three of your meals a day, or even snacks in between. That it goes a long way with your overall health.
Yeah.
Um, Zach, what would you say is something people misunderstand about you that once they really get to know you, they find out was not accurate? Like until they really get to know you.
That I'm a nice guy. I feel like I have that like non-approachable face. I lift weights. I have tattoos. I have a long beard.
Angry biker guy
But yeah,
with a beard. Yeah.
yeah. But I'm very down to earth, just a normal guy. Like I look a lot younger and nicer without the beard, so just kind of picture me without it. So.
What do you
What's
like to do when you're not cooking or creating content or working out? What do you and your wife like to
yeah.
do? Oh, cool.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you and your wife ever swing up to Glacier, that's in my neck of the woods. Let me know. Yeah. Okay. We're in like Spokane, North Idaho, so we're a couple hours from Glacier. So yeah. What's your favorite game at the casino? Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, we if I ever go to the casino, the only thing I'll usually only play craps. Mostly cuz you can play for a long time, right? And like you don't yeah. 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 And then you get to play with a bunch of people and yeah. I took my wife to play craps like for New Year's one year. We went out to the casino and like the first time she threw the dice, neither of them hit the table and hit the guy at the very end.
Really? Oh man.
I think Jay was with us too. Yeah, it was pretty funny. She was like, "I'm never doing that again."
Yeah. Yeah. So I do appreciate what you said though about the about traveling, seeing the whole big world. I actually my something I've tried to instill in my kids. In fact I took my 11-year-old daughter over to over to Europe a couple weeks back, and she'd never been over there. But it's stuff like that that I want her to understand and see that when you isolate yourself to one little corner of the planet, you have that much of a perspective, right? If you can get out there and see other cultures and other parts of the world, you just grow an appreciation for holy crap, this is a big world. It's not just my own little corner. I can start to I appreciate other cultures, the way other people live, the things that I one of the fun things for me is just like stepping out of my comfort zone and just going out and seeing like how do other people live? What do their houses look like? What do they do? How do they commute to work? Like what are things that aren't that are normal here that aren't normal in the US? I love that sort of perspective. So Puerto Rico is on my list though too. I do want to get there. And if you have any places, where do you? I assume you fly into what, San Juan? Yeah. Is that where you'd recommend if I go to Puerto Rico? If I were to go to Puerto Rico, is that where you'd recommend kind of the mountainous range? Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, and you don't even need like I'm thinking. I mean, it's a territory, so you don't need a passport or anything, right? You can just go. Yeah. 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 Um, do you have any questions for us or anything you wanted to talk about? We still have some time left, but like, is there anything you want to say to people that might be watching, or just anything you wanted to bring up during the podcast? I understand you met up with one of our coaches a couple weeks ago, Mary Beth. How did that interaction take place, or how did you guys end up getting together? Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. So you were just in her neck of the woods and told her that you were going to be in the area, or was it the other way around? Okay, gotcha. Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, she was posted about it in the group. Then when I announced that I was going to be that we were going to be having you on the show, she's like, "Oh, you guys think you're cool? I had dinner with him. Like I so like I'm you're going to be on a podcast. Well, I got to meet him in person, so she made sure to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be there. I think a couple of our coaches are going to be there. Um, yeah, I think there should be quite a few of us. I conned one of my good friends into coming, so I texted him and I was like, "Hey, do you need CEUs?" He's like, "Yeah," and I said, "You could just crash in my room with me. Just book a plane ticket. We'll hang out for a couple days." So I got a couple friends coming too.
Well, there you go. There's your invitation. Are you going to hit up El Cortez, Brad,
No, I think we're
just for old
staying on the
time's sake?
strip, so I probably won't get down
Oh,
there.
really?
Unfortunately,
What what
I have to work while I'm down there too, so I got to do a little bit of
what what
adulting.
hotel are you gonna? What hotel are you in?
I think we're at the Paris hotel because I think that's where the conference is.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
There's a very long story, but when Macros Inc. first started, one of the founders and I went down there to go meet with like Nevada attorneys and accountants because that's like where we're incorporated. And after a very weird series of events, we ended up at the El Cortez at like 2 in the morning, and we put out a fire in the in the casino in the back corner by the bar. And then the like police officers or marshals or whoever in the building were like, "You can't be behind the bar. You need to leave immediately." And we're like, "We just put out a fire. We just stopped the casino from burning down," and they didn't care. So we are the heroes of the El Cortez in 2019. That's my claim to fame. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think every
Yeah,
time I've been back there in the last few years, they've always stopped down there, but I don't know if I'm going to get there to Fremont this time.
you got a comment from someone. Melissa says, "Ever been to a Renaissance fair?" I don't. I assume they have those in Florida. Yeah, yeah. It gets it gets brutal with with no shade, just standing out and the humid like the humidity. So I get it 100%. But you definitely would fit in. Like you've already got the the face for it. Now you just need the Renaissance garb. Um, And then also somebody did ask, uh, what is the recommended amount of fiber? I could Google it, but I don't want to exit out. What do we got for her for targets, Bradley?
It's 14 grams per 1,000 calories.
Oh no, you did. I'm sorry, I didn't see you did comment that. I apologize. I didn't see your comments until now. Yes, 14 grams per 1,000 calories.
Now,
Okay.
if you're not consuming any fiber today, don't immediately go to that, or you're going to have an issue like Sheldon had when he was trying to live forever in The Big Bang Theory and thought he was dying because he ate Brussels sprouts.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Boy, I mean, I think we're kind of coming up on time, but this is great, man, and thanks for joining us. Is there, like I said before, is there if there's anything you want to add, say it now. But otherwise, it's been good getting to chat with you. You can you're welcome on the podcast. And we could do another one sometime too. We should coordinate something down the road and have you on again. But yeah, no, so it's super cool to have you on. I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, the people that watched and will watch it back enjoy getting to know you a little bit more too. Yep.
Cool.
Let me just make sure that I'm not missing any final comments. Oh yeah, we're getting a bunch of. We're going to probably start getting some thank yous. So perfect. That's good timing. I appreciate it, man. I will duck out of here, but we'll be in touch. This won't be the last time. So thanks again for coming on, dude.
Yep,
All
Zach.
right,
Big thank
appreciate it,
you,
man.
not only for being here today, but also just for just the way you approach stuff in general. You know how you interacted with our group and your own people. It's we need more people like you doing the work that we do. So big shout out and thank you for that too. So, all right, gentlemen,
All right,
take
man.
care.
Catch you guys later. Thank you.